Hello, everyone. Chris Edgeworth here with our first interview of the evening. This first one, I'll be joined by the jungler of the victorious Blue Bayou Zoo, and I am joined by Dax. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. I hope everyone's doing good as well.
Right on. Yeah. So let's dive right in. Let's talk about the game. The draft was fairly interesting. I thought that it was, and I'm not sure how you folks were feeling when you saw it. I thought that it was really interesting that they slammed on R1 and 2, the Ezreal Janna. I'm just curious, what were your folks' thoughts coming into this draft and how it shook out?
Yeah, no, honestly, we were going into this draft trying to pick Karthus bot. So that's they scouted it and banned it third on the second rotation, which made red pretty salty. So that was the main thing, and then also Maokai is just a massive threat whenever it comes to playing Yubi in this group of teams, and Maokai is also just kind of an FOF monster. So knew we had to pick it or ban it, and it's not worth banning on blue side. And I didn't really want to play against it today against Josh because his Maokai is quite testy. So we kind of came in knowing that we were gonna B1 Maokai, and LCK is pretty popular with Jace mid, and Fireman has been wanting to pick it, so it kind of just ended up coming as it was. I think the saddest thing is that we didn't get to Karthus bot.
Rip. And now that you've mentioned it, unfortunately the league will be on watch to make sure you guys don't get it, but I guess we'll see with playoffs coming up, and there's still tomorrow, final day of the regular season. So let's talk about the game itself, because it was interesting the way it started. We had talked briefly during the break about your early pathing on the Maokai, and just familiar. I wasn't familiar with the start. Beanjar and I had talked about it on the cast, about the going from the Raptors to the Krugs up to the Red. But what I thought was interesting was that the big thing that stuck out for me was that Poppy was clearly angling to get to this crab before you, and she did. But unfortunately, that also happened at the same time that her top laner was just eating a bajillion what do you call the missiles from Rumble, but the rockets from Rumble, and just eating a bunch of pokes. So talk to me, if you could, about how things were going for you folks in the early game when it was a little more docile, and then how you folks were able to break this game open.
Yeah, so I think one of the big things that I'm a big fan of this season, I guess in general for jungle, is Raptor start is just very strong. It lets you do anything. So I do a full right side clear in that tempo so that my small camps are up sooner, and it also lets me really go anywhere on the map because I can pivot a couple things from Raptors actually, so I don't always have to do that same standard clear, but it allows me to have the same map tempo. I wasn't actually expecting Poppy to beat me to Scuttle. I think I'd have to look back. I'm more curious if Utility Monster skipped camps. That's the Maokai Q nerfs I'm feeling, I think, from last patch. The clear's a little slower. It's still 330, but I think I didn't kite as well, so I was there a little late and happened to have good timing with my solo lane prio and ended up stealing the Scuttle, so that felt pretty good, and I double scuttled on him and got a few extra camps and a kill and assist, so I was pretty massive early, so that kind of just let us do whatever we wanted after that. And I think if I recall, they tried to do a solo dragon with Poppy, but it was a Hextech dragon, and so my team ended up stopping that. Also helped a lot of our tempo, and we ended up picking that up to get dragon prio, so I think after the early game went well, we just realized that we had a much stronger go at them comp and disengage, and they didn't have a lot of consistent CC in their draft. So I think once the mid game hit, we were pretty much just in the driver's seat.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the thing that I pointed out is that they were able to, in some fashion, able to stabilize with the gold income that they were getting onto the Fiora and stuff. She was able to crack those bricks open, but at a certain point, I like the classic base for Dragon Trade. You know it, you love it, and then you were able to just hang back there. It sucks, dude. I was bitching about you permanently having your ultimate on off of cooldown. Like, what a ridiculous champion Maokai is. Because if you had your Nature's Grasp when they were all backing from that dragon when they're denying you soul point, like, you would have just ended the game right there, just straight up and down. Yeah. So anyway, go ahead. What do you got?
No, you're good. No, Maokai ult needs to have that CD. It is a 60-second cooldown, and I was ulting off cooldown that game. So yeah, felt bad, but I was still able to stop 3.
Yeah, it looked good. It looked good. So, Dax, really, really excellent game from BBZ. Yeah, my bad. I didn't realize you guys were not skilled enough to get 12 wins. That's on me. Shouts out to Champion Red. And Fire Mana is just boosted. I mean, obviously, you just carried this guy. He's a troll. He's trash. He's forcing you to play AD mids. So it is what it is. So good job to you, Dax. Shouts out to you and your team. Congrats on the win. Before we step away, Dax, any final thoughts to leave us? Any shout outs, any banter?
No, I just think don't underestimate BBZ in best of series. I think we had a pretty good group stage or whatever regular season games, if whatever you want to call it. So whoever we play in playoffs, we're coming for you. And I think my solo laners are gonna carry me.
There you go. All right, there you go. Gotta buff your team buff. There you go. So that's gonna be it, folks. We got game 1 in the books, but we will be back very shortly with our second game of the night. It is going to be In the Trees versus Oversoul.
Welcome back, everyone, to the final week of the final season of FOF Esports. My name is Rare Adam. Alongside me is Chris Edgeworth here within the trees and Oversoul Esports Incarnate. What has lots of implications on the standings right now. One of the most implications, I suppose. After a previous game, this one should be pretty exciting. Edgeworth, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm now shifted seats over to now I'll be doing my natural habitat. I'll be doing the color casting. So I don't know if you were watching last game, but I was doing play-by-play, and I like straight up was just sitting there with Beanjar, like watching a tower dive happen, like, interesting. And I'm like, oh, right, yeah, that's me this game. I'm supposed to be the one talking about the dive. So anyway, though, yes, as you say, really interesting game here in the trees. Really trying to show that they've been really picking things up here at the end of the season's opportunity for them to scrape some more wins together before we get into the playoffs. Bans have already come through. They are going to first pick the Volibear. I know that Bo does play it a little bit, but I think this is going to Brock Lee, if I had to guess. And then the Xayah coming through on the side of Oversoul. We'll see if they're going to be partnering that now with the Rakan, or if they're going to leave their support pick, and it looks like the Shyvana comes through.
Yeah, it's going to be Xayah Shyvana picked up, and the Shyvana has been rising in popularity a lot, mostly in the top lane. It used to be sort of a Jaffe special, and I would say, oh, you know, I'm expecting it out of someone like Jaffe, but there's no Jaffe in this game. Jaffe played last game, okay? So we've got to see how this works out. If Limster opts to pick that up on the top side of the map, it's been very strong with Hullbreaker plus Ravenous Hydra, or if it gets pulled out into the jungle for Swifty. Of course, we'll see if the support from Freedom Potatoes is the companion, or one could say the boyfriend to the girlfriend that is already picked up by Skarloey here in the Xayah. And Xayah Rakan, of course, has been such a strong staple of the bot lane. It feels like for almost a year now, it almost seems as if it should be a free pick. The Braum Ezreal on the opposite side may have something to say about that, though.
I am really curious where the random Ezreal priority is coming from, because I don't even think like Ezreal's like terrible in the meta per se. I think he is more of a niche as like not necessarily a counter pick per se, but like, you know, a choice in a lane where you're not trying to be anything super aggressive. But like, I don't get the priority on this when we do see the Gwen come through, which of course I think is going to solidify the Shyvana into the jungle role for Swifty. So so far it looks like the bot lane has been rounded out for in the trees, but the support position is left open for Oversoul, and the Rakan first thing taken away.
Yeah, separated from the lover once again. Very strong to sort of force out that ban in a lot of ways, because Xayah does work quite well with other members of the support pool there. Interesting to see what Freedom Potatoes opts to pick up for themselves down there as well, but nonetheless, just doing their due diligence there to make sure that you take away one of those potential free picks, because looking at how this draft has played out, they picked the Xayah early. They don't even bother to pick up that Rakan and say, hey, you have to ban it, else we have a free pick on R4 here.
And the one thing that I'm noticing here is that the Jax ban that comes through does pretty much solidify that this is going to be Bo's Volibear in my mind. So Milio being the second ban, another support being picked away. And they are going to, that is a locked Zillion. Could still be, it could be a flex, it could be Freedom Potatoes, it could be Lifrith. So I guess we'll have to see how things shake out. Very AP heavy so far on Oversoul.
Yeah, of course, depending on what the Shyvana build ends up being, if it is that AP Shyvana that we've seen for what feels like the past year, or if it's going to be that AD Shyvana that reigned prevalent for every year before last year, basically. But the Corki picked up by Pegtropus gives you a lot of safety in that mid lane, but also gives you the ability to go in there with that package, sort of change the direction of a fight off of that, really compete for some of these dragons as well. Should be an interesting final pick here, considering you already know you've got a Gwen. Do you want to have that Volibear play into that Gwen, or would you rather pick a better matchup for yourself? It is the Gnar that will be answered, so at the very least, we'll be able to stay away from the Gwen for the time being.
So what I'm noticing for in the trees, though, is that most likely it's going to be a 2 Triforce game. very poke heavy. They're going to be counting on
Oh!
these boys. Oh, the dog! The new dog, I should say. The pack of dogs, rather. Nefiri coming through. As I understand it, I'm pretty sure Nefiri is a mid laner
Yes.
with some play in jungle. So that is going to solidify us the Zillion in the bot side paired with the Xayah. So all things being shown here, an AD mid laner coming through with the two ostensibly, let's say, AP. I'm curious. I don't necessarily. I think the economy in the jungle is like terrible to play AD. I'm pretty sure. I don't think you can play AD Shyvana out of the jungle. Please flame me in the chat if I'm wrong. Again, bronze by the way. But I'm liking it here. They did have to pick up some AD here to sort of round this out. Oversoul's got an interesting composition. In the trees, I think has a little bit more honest composition, especially to the people on their team. I think this aligns very well with the play style of in the trees. So, you know, my heart's telling me in the trees, but the lizard brain in me wants to see Oversoul just get a trillion kills. What do you think?
And it feels as if they've sort of picked champions that fit a. It's an indication of how they want to play in a lot of ways. They want to play their style of gameplay, and I think Oversoul Esports have sort of weirdly enough flown under the radar despite all these predictions. Everyone's been saying Asura might be one of the better teams despite them having a couple more losses. AWE, of course, is that name brand. Oversoul Esports seems to fly under the radar a little bit in some ways, despite them being in contention for that first place. Side note, if Oversoul Esports are to win this game, they will guarantee themselves a tiebreaker at the very least with Art of War Esports for first place. On the flip side of things, for INT, if they win this game, they will be in sole possession of 6th place, the final playoff spot. If they lose this, they will tie back up with Yubi and give Fat Pikachu an extra life, so to speak, in their situation for themselves. And of course, our final game of the day does have even more implications in the sense that Fat Pikachu, they're going to be playing tonight. If they are to lose their game and INT are to win, they are both tied for 5th place. If Fat Pikachu win, they lock in playoffs with an INT loss. So lots of things to deal with. There's probably a foldy sheet out there. I think Brendan mentioned he wanted to make one of those. It's complicated. Nonetheless, we are on to the Rift here for game number 2 of our evening. In the trees, looking to keep their playoff hopes alive and well. Oversoul Esports looking to try and take that regular season crown down for themselves.
I'm gonna keep it real right now before we get into game and people start flaming me. I don't remember what dog does. When they were on PBE, I looked at it. Nefiri does cool things. Yeah, I was gonna say I'm pretty sure it's the second cast of the Q that makes all the doggies jump. So other than that, I'm only familiar with the arena obstacle version of Nefiri, which this champion is not. So I'll be learning a little bit through the early game here. Thank you to our observer who's giving us all a little reminder. Yeah, that all looks good. Okay, yeah, and then what's the ultimate again? That's the
Call of the pack.
Yeah, okay. Oh, right. Okay, yeah. It increases the range on our Q.
It's pretty cool.
Oh, my cat. I'm sorry. I don't know if any of you heard that. My cat is sitting right underneath my foot and just moved her tail underneath my foot. I'm sorry, Patricia. I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly. They heard talking about the dog and said, you know what? I can't deal with this. I got to make sure I'm locking him down. Pegtropus already taking a little bit of damage there, but nonetheless, this bot side already, Slop's going to flash forward here aggressively on the Freedom Potatoes. That was incredibly aggressive coming through from He Who Slops, and it ends up being a little bit of a Slopsy situation on that bottom side of the map, as that's just a free summoner spell burned for nothing. Lifrith looking for some more damage on this mid lane. Already you can see Oversoul Esports trying to play aggressive through that mid lane and taking advantage of the aggression on the bottom side.
Yeah, they He Who Slops does have a Hex Flash, so it's not the worst trade, but you know, you never want to give up a flash for free, basically. Level 2 coming through on both of these means there's gonna be a lot more poke.
Yeah, Skarloey's taking a lot of damage, is ignited up. Will be able to stay alive with that very early heal coming through from Freedom Potato. Smart play to make sure that heal isn't cut in half. But this wave is just getting shoved in, and despite Slops burning both summoners very early on, they're starting to win out on these trades as Skarloey continues to take a lot of damage. Lifrith still looking for these aggressive trades, but finally Pagtrop is able to clap back just a little bit.
Yep. And you know, as we pilot our way through these first couple of minutes, looking at the jungle clears, we're seeing Shyvana going top to bot, Volibear bot to top, just passing like ships in the night. So we're gonna see this wave being crashed on the top side. Now gonna be pushing away from the Gwen as it bounces off the tower. Volibear, Bow Explode just coming down to pay a visit to Lifrith. Let's see if anything happens. I think he's just trying to buy some space for Pagtropus. Nefiri is going to find him there. Looks like a little bit of trade, but it was mostly just pushing him away. So, still very quiet. Pagtropus still trying to get this wave before I'm going to have to imagine a reset. Very low on mana. Can go back for the tier with this much gold in his pocket, I would imagine. So, we'll see how things go from here. Volibear, again, just making sure that Pagtropus has the space they need to get this farm. Making Lifrith play a little honest.
Yeah, I think major thing as well to note is both of these mid laners have teleport, and for Pagtropus that could be expected, but Lifrith is going to be maybe lacking in that solo kill potential, but mid lane, a little bit of a fight. Lifrith needs to jump out of there. Bo, are you going to flash over that wall? Down on all fours, will not end up going for it as Lifrith just walks back to safety. Several members on this bottom side of the map now as Lifrith tests the waters there, throws out one of the darkened daggers there onto Bow Explode. Doesn't end up amounting into much. Meanwhile, on this top side of the map, as expected, the range advantage for Broccoli, currently doing wonders against Limster here. But of course, does depend on how the later stages go, especially in the side lane. We know Gwen to be one of those champions that just toggles on around 1.5 items and can just absolutely eviscerate the likes of Mininar.
Still trading with the Hyper, though. The procs and the range form do their fair bit of poke here, so just trading back and forth. Does have the benefit of not being a mana champion, so that is one of the annoying things about these resourceless champions. They just have to make sure they have the health to be able to poke. Bow Explode showing up yet again, the third summoner spell of Pagtropus. Looks like he's just holding out. I mean, is this gonna... Okay, he's backing now. I was gonna say, is he like trying to hold out for... Is this a lost chapter angle? Is this what's happening here?
Yeah, it seems as if
no,
it's...
this is here. Okay.
Yeah, just tearing a couple of swords there, as well as the dagger, actually. So good stuff coming through from Pagtropus, doing their duty and staying in that lane as much as possible. Granted, the teleport did come through from Lifrith to potentially force out a teleport from Pagtropus, but they might not end up needing to use that. Could the need arise, though, we'll not be able to use that Unleashed teleport for another 4 minutes. So maybe could have just teleported back to lane, just put that on cooldown, and gotten the extra value out of it. Nonetheless, that all ends up coming down to personal preference. This bot lane still for Skarloey has gotten a little bit better. Granted, still a heavy CS advantage for Kenny Hammer Spike, who, of note, just wanted to call back to last season. I was watching old VODs for some reason. Not like I played NASA support or anything. I was trying to find the game for it. But Kenny Hammer Spike, of course, came through that season as the ADC MVP. And thus far, despite a tumultuous season for the side of INT, we do have to look at Kenny as being one of the main reasons as to how they've gotten back on track.
Yeah, I mean, and Kenny has just got a nice little CS lead, a little gold lead for him. Just 100, just a little 100 spot for him, but gonna continue to scale there. It looks like, if I'm reading this correctly, the Pagtropus is going to complete the... I guess I can't say that for certain, but it's going to be a little bit more delayed compared to Kenny Hammerspike on getting this Triforce online. Lifrith tried to get in there, but I think it's just a little bit of poke. So
yeah, a little bit of poke.
Dragons,
Half of Pagtropus' health bar. Yeah, going forward with that eviscerate, so much damage that can be dealt, and oh my goodness, it's going to be taken by Swifty there, and now the fight may ensue. He slops, finds the stun, but here comes Lifrith. Call the pack comes down. Look at these time bombs coming down. It's first blood picked up by Skarloey there. The pack continues to hunt as Lifrith getting on the board with an assist there. Nice little showcase of Nefiri's skirmishing ability.
Yeah, I feel like since they already knew that they were sort of beaten to the positioning in the trees, really was just there to watch for fun. As Kenny Hammerspike going to take a little bit of poke here from the bot lane of Oversoul Esports, but can we also get it switched over, Zach, for favor? No, I meant you're still streaming the what do you call it? This projector window. Sorry, we're doing a little housekeeping here. But we do see the gold is not overly out of hand. It's still just a K, which is a lot at 8 minutes. But just flying casual. Most of that gold's gonna be tied up in things like not necessarily the kill, but the minion differences as well as the gold that's gonna come across from the dragon. Not that much since Riot nerfed that, but yeah. So overall though, Oversoul. Got a little bit of the lead here. I'm interested to see if this Nefiri is able to become the big scary dog. The kill did go on to the Xayah for that first one, who's also stacking the coal, so just building in nicely to her items as well. But it remains to be seen if this big scary dog can do some big damage.
Yeah, we'll see if the dog is all bark and no bite, or if the bite comes later on. And I'll be frank, playing against that champion multiple times in the past little bit hasn't quite been as pleasurable as I would like. So I just banned the champion now. Nefiri stays on the ban list for now until I figure out what she actually does. But having the privilege of being able to watch it from the sidelines and seeing Lifrith do quite a good job into this lane thus far has been really nice to see that the Nefiri does have some grounds to stand on in terms of viability in this more competitive sphere. Limster takes a big ol' gnar into the wall there, but should be able to survive without too much issue. Side note, Pagtropis, it just feels like they've been out of mana this entire lane because Lefrith just able to trade out that health. A major factor of Nefiri is the fact that she's a Darken, thus you get a whole bunch of healing off of anything, basically.
Yeah, the built-in sustain matters a lot. Bow explodes going in.
Yeah, a Bow looking for this top side, trying to change the climate of that lane, but Limster will just be able to dash their way out alongside that flash. Bow expending the ultimate for it. Didn't use that flash, but Broccoli did. So it is an even trade of summoners, just a little bit more of that wave and potentially a plate going over to the missing link.
Yeah, and the thing that interests me so much, again, having not seen that much Nefiri, is that, having the sustain is one thing, and I'm also just noticing, if we ever get a chance, Zach, I'd love to see how much gold this Nefiri has earned from their first strike rune. You have to select the champion, and then you have to hit C to bring up the, hold C, and then hover over the rune. Okay. Not that much, but
69 damage. Nice.
On that. Yeah, nice. Nice.
We did it. We set the funny number. Woo!
We sniped it. Yes.
Let's go. Oh. Kenny Hammerspike finds a kill on the Swifty off screen there. We'll get a replay on that. Yep. There it is.
I mean, that made perfect sense to me considering where we started that play from. I mean, he was way in no man's land. He's got to expend the ultimate just to get over the wall and dies to the cleanup from Kenny Hammerspike. So that was a little bit of Swifty, I think, just sort of feeling himself a little bit, just being in a little dangerous spot, did not need to be where he was, so.
Yeah, effectively falling right into the palm of Kenny Hammerspike's hand there. Caught Swifty in a trance, going for a little bit of an invade there. Big ol' Sire Relief there from the Ezreal to make sure that they can get out of that one alive. That's bingo, by the way. Nonetheless, 11 minutes and 20 seconds into this one. Gold staying relatively even, and for a while near the beginning there, OVS did have themselves a nice little cushion to sit on the gold lead, but now that has been evened out, and a lot of that just has to do with the better CSing now coming through from Broccoli on that top side of the map. Granted, Limster is pinching down here, looking to try and punish Pagtropis as much as possible, but Lifrith doesn't want to expend the call to Pack quite yet, doesn't want to be barking their way in there. Kenny Hammerspike will take a decent chunk of damage, though, from Freedom Potatoes, who wants to free up this lane a little bit more for Skarloey to farm up. Still sort of waiting for this next big objective to show up here. And this dragon spawning in 15 seconds, you already know Swifty's going to be set and prepped to try and pick this one up. Nope, we'll just toss down that Rift Herald most likely on the bottom side to get a little bit more priority.
Yep, they're just going to crash it for a cut, some gold, some plates. Not going to be enough to take it out, of course, but they are staying up here.
Yeah, this is a little bit of trouble. A Swifty in deep, danger here. The heat finally stacking up, but here comes Broccoli around the back, very close to Mega as well. Will they be able to take down the Gnar in time? It does seem like they will be able to do so, and the Zillion ult gonna come through at the right time. Lifrith here, the Call of Pack finds one already. He who slops is in a world of hurt as well, as even more damage comes through. Ooh, great attempt on the double bomb from Freedom Potatoes, but it's flashed away. The Ezreal ultimate not quite gonna be enough, but everyone from this side of In the Trees surviving on a sliver of HP. Ends up being a 2-for-1 in favor of Oversoul Esports Incarnate, and they didn't even burn Limster's TP, who is still on that top side, farming away, taking those plates.
Yeah, I mean, that was just a little overextended. I mean, I felt like they had the right idea to just show up there with it with their jungler, push the wave in, and drop the Herald and just crack the plates. It brought it down this low. I mean, they're still getting the tower now, all things being told. They do end up with the dragon, but a little overextension happens. They do have to commit, cost the TP from Broccoli, I believe, to head off that play. So it's gonna be costly in that regard for In the Trees, as of course we do have the unsealed teleports on the map now, since it is past 10 minutes. So having the ability to teleport to those wards, very good. But now, the long cooldowns of the teleports. Meanwhile, Limster's still chilling on their TP, just able to walk back into lane after all of that. It might be an opportunity for Oversoul to be able to use that TP advantage.
Yeah, they might try and expend that around this next Herald that may spawn, but of course Limster being on that top side of the map may just be the answer to that for the time being. Sort of just waiting around for that next big fight. We got a pretty big engage on that bottom side that leads to the first turret. Now Lifrith will just be able to sit in the side lane. Granted, gonna be going in. Eviscerate goes all the way in onto Kenny Hammerspike. Great timing from He Who Slops to block up a lot of that damage. Lifrith just gonna be expending that ultimate for naught.
Yep, Lifrith just trying to be cheeky, I think. Just making sure that Kenny Hammerspike was playing honestly, that he had a support, had somebody around to stop the full engage. So as soon as he sees He Who Slops knows, okay, well, thanks for playing. We saw what we needed to see. So Limster is going to trade a little bit, push this wave in on the Gnar. They trade back and forth. But what I do like here is, Boxwood's going to come up here. I'll hold that thought.
Yeah, Limster might be in a little bit of trouble. The needlework not quite healing enough for the time being. Granted, Limster staying alive for a long time until they get tossed into the wall. Great timing, though, coming through from Swifty to keep him alive. Freedom Potatoes is there as well with the Chrono Shift. Will that be enough to clean up a kill? Yes, it will. Limster, with that newfound confidence, pushes back in, finds the kill. Great timing showing up from Oversoul Esports Incarnate to collect another kill for themselves. And now, He Who Slops in a world of hurt. Lifrith trying to chase this one down. Eviscerate moving forward once again. Double bomb's going to land onto two of them. Gonna land onto the puppies, actually, who are able to confirm that stun. But that'll be all she wrote for the time being. Rift Herald number 2 gonna be going over to OVS.
Yeah, and He Who Slops just gonna die dry.
That was quick. That just happened in the 2 seconds I look away, and this is sort of telling the story of this game.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing that's crazy that also to point out is Freedom Potatoes is actually playing exceptionally well. As someone who dabbles here and there in the Zillion, playing it really well, had 2 very necessary ultimates, able to save on the bot side, able to save Swifty's life just barely, just about to time out on that last dive there, and just able to get in range to be able to cast it on the Gwen. Gwen doesn't get the revive from it per se, but that immediately stops them from hitting her because they don't want her to revive and just basically heal. So really, really good play from Freedom Potatoes through this 16 minutes.
And thus far, 2 Rift Herald charges, 2 towers, could be a third confirmed up as they just group up on this mid lane. They are taking this by storm. Not quite going to get that last charge down. But as we were mentioning off the top, what would likely potentially be an AP Shyvana ends up still being the AD Shyvana here. Swifty has done a great job of continuing to keep that farm up, participate around the map to ensure that they have enough gold to facilitate that build. Blade of the Rune King already complete. We'll have to see what the next couple of items are, but as of right now, Oversoul Esports Incarnate showing why they are in contention for that first place slot. They are looking to push themselves above the veterans in AWE, above other veteran teams such as BBZ and UB. Show that, the rookies still got some pop to them there. I always have a soft spot for the rookie teams.
The one thing that stands out to me is that I took a moment to look at it well, we're in a bit of a downtime, so I hope this is. But right now, the #1 most common build for Jungle Shyvana is in fact Conqueror Trinity Force. That's the highest win build and the most common build. So where the win? Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. The most common build is press the attack. So he does have to press the attack there. But I find that very interesting, especially because the one thing I was going to point out is I feel like the build that you get from going AP is a little tankier, as they're now starting to get ready for this Cloud Dragon. Just gonna throw some dogs at the problem, and everything will be fine. But anyway, that's one thing to point out there with the AD build. So he's building now. It looks like towards the T Force anyway. Just built the Bork first, so he'll get there. But anyway, this dragon is showing up here. Both teams in the area. Limster's coming down finally. And yeah, looks like they're just gonna be here to scrap. Be interested to see what happens here.
Yeah, just keep positioning around this. Of course, they know that they've got this gold lead at this point. They have to, seeing those objective bounties up and available. Lefrith's just trying to poke over the wall. These Darkened Daggers are just so pesky to deal with at all times. Limster, of course, looking to try and come through on an off angle, but it's just poking around this dragon for now. Of course, Swifty always has a little bit of extra oomph against those dragons there. Of course, Shyvana's passive, giving her that extra bonus damage over to those dragons, if she can opt to find it. Brock Lee, though, coming around the side on a little bit of a flank here, will force the ultimate out of Swifty, but into the backline goes Lifrith, trying to stay alive, forced to flash over the wall, throwing out those Darkened Daggers. Look how much damage it's doing to Hisuslops once again. Taken out of the fight. Swifty going to be able to shut that one down. It's another kill picked up by Skarloey, and in the trees, looking to go back into the trees here. Will still secure that one up. Swifty, very low on health, will be taken down. Skarloey trying to dish out the last little bit of damage. Look at where all those feathers are. Will they be able to pull it back? Yes, they will. Brock Lee taken out from the play, and Pegtropus limping away in his little Corky mobile. 200 HP to spare, and not a single extra HP to spare on the entire side of INT.
Yeah, the big thing that I'm noticing is that you know, the poke from Kenny Hammerspike from Pagtropus, they are very potent. We do have the completed mythics from both of them. Actually, I take that back. The Static Shiv's not a mythic, right? But yeah, because building towards the Trinity Force. But you know, they were largely untouched for a lot of that. Lifrith did get that big burst at the beginning, had to go over the wall, and was just, you know, threatening over the wall for sure. But in the meantime, Kenny Hammerspike, Pactropus were able to just dish out some of their damage. They're not at the point where they're dealing 1 trillion damage and hitting like a truck, those 2-item, 3-item Corkies and Ezreals. So even though that they weren't able to get into the backline and actually, you know, like take them out, they also, by the same token, weren't able to deal enough damage back to really clean up that fight. So it ends up being in Oversoul's favor.
Yeah, granted, Limster now in a world of hurt, going to toss out that needlework once again to try and find a way out of this one. 3 members strong will be forced into this play, but a great timing on that ultimate just to be a little bit annoying. Limster hopping over the wall once again. Is the damage there? Yes, it is. Pagtropus with the big one shuts it down. Not quite the big one, just a normal rocket. Does enough damage, and now INT have come over to this Baron. Interesting call here, considering the members that are around. Hisuslops taking a boatload of damage from Freedom Potatoes on the side, but this Baron's starting to go down a little bit quicker than maybe they were expecting. Swifty still on that red buff. Baron taking down 4k HP. They have no idea where Swifty is, but Swifty knows full well they're still on this Baron. The poke coming through. Baron down to 3k. Are they pulling off? Lithrith on the side finds Hisuslops, and now this fight is about to get sloppy at that. Brock Lee about to go mega. It's actually going to be a shutdown picked up. Skarloey goes down. Swifty trying to get over that wall. It's Brock Lee fighting a huge Gnar into 2 members, and now this is trouble for the side of OVS. INT come from the trees. They find 4, and now they'll find themselves the Baron for sure.
Oh no, that fight was looking pretty decent. Freedom Potatoes just here to vibe. Yep. Getting cleaned up. Was on the ward, so Kenny Hammerspike just making a trail around. No, but Swifty had a good angle on that jump, but I'm not sure. It's just maybe not far enough over for the length of the jump, and just hits the wall, and that just leads to Brock Lee being able to line up that massive 2-man Gnar and shut down all of their engage and just really allow in the trees to clean this up. And that's gonna bring us to near even kills now. Of course, 4,000 gold going the way of Oversoul, and they do have the 3 dragons stacked on the Dragon Soul. So in the trees, by no means is in the driver's seat of this game, but the amount of tempo that they're able to swing back here is going to change the dynamics for this dragon coming up in the next minute and 45. They got to get these waves pushed out. If they can crack some of this objective gold from getting some of these towers down, that would be great money in their pocket to try and be ready for this fight. I will point out that Corki now does have the static and Triforce. It's a triple Triforce game, ladies and gentlemen. It's a Triforce in every lane, quite literally. Top, middle, and bottom lane Trinity Force. We'll also point out that Ezreal does have the Manamune all the way stacked up too. So going to be getting that mana conversion, doing a lot of damage, and the static Shiv proc with the T-Force proc, pretty brutal, especially as both Kenny Hammerspike and Pactropus over that level 11 mark. So especially important for Pactropus is going to upgrade the damage on those rockets, and especially the big one getting hit with that T-Force big one's not going to be fun.
Nonetheless, now around this potential Soul Dragon already forces out the Dragon form from Swifty. Will not be able to have that up and available with the cooldown of the heat specifically. Pactropus is already here as the rest of the team. Skarloey trying to find a little bit more agency around this mid lane. Just push that out, give themselves a little bit of breathing room, but even still, very tough stuff. Broccoli, though, taking a healthy chunk of damage. Do have to keep that damage in mind. Broccoli will not have any rage built up for when this dragon spawns. A teleport down into the bot lane means they will have to try and upgrade that off of the wave, which they will do. Nonetheless, the mid siege still continuing. Despite the gold lead in favor of OVS, they are playing so respectfully given the Baron that is on the opposite side. They know they can't deal with these minions, but for 30 seconds here, in 30 seconds, they may have an angle of approach here. Look at the poke, though. Big one landing onto multiple members as Pagtropus getting value out of this Corki right now. Dragon already down to half. Swifty, though, might actually have the ultimate up and available. Will not opt to do it. They will wait 5 minutes to try and get themselves the soul next time around.
Yeah, I think they realized they did not position themselves where they should have been before that dragon started. You cannot, in any circumstances, walk through that choke point there above the dragon when you have both Corki rockets and Ezreal Qs coming through there. Not going to happen. No one's going to survive going through there, so they just realize, okay, never mind, our bad, and they just go back towards the mid lane, push that wave in. Like you say, they'll just have to come try it again in 5 minutes. The problem being that by doing that, by making that little excursion, they do waste some of that time that they had while they were on that objective. They could have gotten these waves pushed in a little bit more, but hindsight's 20/20.
Even Stops taking about 20, maybe 40% of their HP right now. Never mind, they're going to be taking even more. Slops will potentially fall, will not fall, with a great timed lock at Swifty, though. Wants to chase this one down. Glacial Fissure comes down. That final time bomb will be their demise. Skarloey actually going to pick it up with the daggers as well. And now, look at this map. As soon as that Baron expires, you can see OVS just flip the switch, and they're ready to get back into it here. That gold lead that they had, they never relinquished here, is going to start to pay dividends. Of note, that Baron buff, over the course of those 3 minutes, INT got 0 towers off of it. That is not good when that is the case. Pagtropus, though, going to try and find some angles here. Limster actually going to get into that front line here. Look at the damage being dealt. O-Explode in a lot of trouble. Skarloey in trouble as well, but will be far enough away not to worry about this one. Lifrith finds one onto Broccoli. Will be able to collect another kill for themselves. Bo going to be escaping with about 87 HP at the end of that one. Another kill going in favor of OVS as they continue where they left off before that Baron throw.
Yep, and now with the Prowler's Claw coming through on Nefiri, they've got just a billion miles of range that they can engage on you from over the walls and all of that. Flash up, of course, for them as well. So this is a very scary pack of doggies.
The pack is here. And of course, the first rule of being in a dog pack is to fight with the pack. I don't know. I've never been in the dog pack, so I couldn't tell you. I'll try and grab my dog in between games and ask her what it's like to fight with the pack. Then again, she hasn't been in a pack either. She's been a domesticated dog for several years. Yeah.
You might even say her whole life.
Yeah, well, apart from her first 8 weeks, I think. I call my dog off Kijiji.
Nice.
$400 for that one, and then now vet appointments are just as much. Who knows? Who knew pets could be so expensive? Lifrith might know a thing or two about keeping the expense in the pets as well, as they're quite rich at this point. 3 completed items that Cyril does really going to start to pay dividends against the likes of Bo and He Who Slops at this point as well. Swifty, though, is quite swift with the speed ups coming through from Freedom Potatoes. Forces out the side of INT. They do not want the smoke from the Dragon at this point.
Yeah, and with Baron coming up now, it's up for In the Trees to decide whether they're going to actually try and show up here. They are already putting damage on it. Looks like they might have to peel away. Freedom Potatoes is going to have to kite back.
Yeah, Lifrith doing so much damage, though. Great double bomb going to land as well. Brock Lee, and not a chance in hell to survive that one. Will be sent down to hell with that, alongside He Who Slops. A double kill picked up. Bo now trying to get out of this one, looking for even more. Lifrith not even able to eviscerate as the kill goes over to Skarloey once again. This fight going all the way of Oversoul Esports Incarnate. Limster looking for a little bit more, playing zoning duty for the time being. Will be able to skip and slash her way out of there as well. Baron has spawned, and immediately off the rip, it is Oversoul Esports Incarnate going towards the Purple Worm and surely able to secure this one up for themselves. This could be curtains for INT.
Yeah, they showed up to that Baron a little split. Thought that maybe they could be cute and catch out Freedom Potatoes over there. Meanwhile, they were able to just really get some deep damage down on there. And when they showed up all split, I mean, it was just an easy chase down for Oversoul. They just basically turned around and said, "Hey, what are you guys doing here?" And then just clapped him up a little bit. So it's funny because when you look at things all being told, if you look over at In the Trees, Kenny Hammerspike and Pactropus still have not died. They're still they're the classic 303, 30303, my people. So they're still standing tall. But I think they're firmly at their peak scaling, so to speak.
Ooh. Yeah, Oversoul Esports might not be at their peak in terms of gameplay yet, though. The pack is hunting here. Lifrith chasing down Pagtropus. He Who Slops ends up tanking up a lot of that damage, and that might not be the best situation, but Swifty into the backline. Bo has almost exploded all on their own. Look at the damage from the needlework. The Eviscerate cleans one up once again. Lifrith on a rampage. The pack continues to hunt. It's all going to be for now. Brock Lee with a sliver of health. Limster trying to catch up that last little snip. Not quite going to execute up the Gnar. But once again, limping away with slivers of health to remain are the side of In the Trees as they retreat to base. And this should surely be the soul going over to OVS.
Yep, Oversoul Cloud Soul coming through for Oversoul Esports Incarnate. And that is going to be the 4th dragon stacked onto the Shyvana. Bo Explode just going to get chased down here by the Limster.
Yeah, and actually, lots of damage being taken in return. Those rockets, as you mentioned, doing healthy chunks of damage to the side of OVS. But much like their name, Oversoul Esports Incarnate are looking to make this game over. Oversoul? Yeah, something. I was almost there. Nonetheless, as a Dragon Incarnate from Swifty has done incredible things, just being a beefy frontliner and still dishing out a whole boatload of damage.
Let's see. Is this? I don't want to. It looks like I'm trying to make sure they're resetting. Yeah. So, Zach, would it be possible to get a check-in on Nefiri's gold from First Strike? Last time it was nice. Hold C. There you go.
Oh my goodness.
847.
That's
oh no,
953.
Yeah. No. That's 950 gold. Oh yeah. Damn. That's a G.
That's a lot of gold.
Yes. And
this is
not. It's a melee champion, so you're getting the full bonus from using First Strike.
Lifrith is not a 6-kill Nefiri. That's a 9-kill Nefiri right there. Once again, filling out the 6 equals 9 prophecy. Nice stuff coming through from Lifrith. I'll stop with those at this. I don't think I can get fined.
693 gold, or it was 963 gold, which 9 equals 6 plus 3. Illuminati confirmed.
Yes. And looks like Oversoul Esports will maintain only 3 losses on the season at this point. 10,000 gold lead in their favor. They are having a field day on this one as the dogs continue to bark their way through. I think this is probably one of the best debuts of a champion we've had if this is the first Nefiri that we've seen. Of course, Limster going to make sure that they aren't shown up in their own Swifty. That's going to shut that one down. Kenny Hammerspike had no chance to survive that one, as this could be Curtin Scarlowy going up into this guy. They're barking their way home. That's another one picked up for Nefiri. Brock Lee slowed up, will go Mega, but I don't think that's going to be enough to stop him. A nice little gnar into the wall may shut down Limster, but that isn't quite enough for the Nefiri. It's a triple kill picked up. 9, 1, and 5. What a debut coming through for the dog champ here in FOF, as Oversoul Esports Incarnate will advance themselves to 14-3. They will guarantee, at the very least, a tiebreaker with Art of War Esports, and they are looking strong heading into playoffs. Good game.
Yep, and it's going to be in the trees. Unfortunately, going to be sent to the pound by the dog coming through in the mid lane. Lifrith really, really excellent with that Nefiri.
Great stuff, honestly, and I want to see the damage graphs at the end of this one as well, because I think this Nefiri could have top damage from it. Oh, that's
whoa! Oh,
never
wait,
mind.
Okay. No, it's updating.
Champ?
We're good. We're chilling. We're good. We got it.
Okay, did have top damage by 25 damage over Pegtropus. So by the slimmest of margins.
Let's go!
Yeah, by 25 damage was able to out damage to champions. Damage other. I don't know. Cares about the other damage to minions. Minions live don't matter. Sorry.
Wow. Just go back to the main stats page, Zach, because it shows the full raw numbers there. Yeah. So it's what, 26,972 to 26,997. God damn.
25 damage separating those two mid laners. And honestly, I think a lot of credit does have to go to Pagtropus and Kenny Hammerspike for that game. They really kept in the trees in that game for as long as possible. But unfortunately, when the dogs start to howl, you got to take them out for a walk. And Nefiri walked all over in the trees. One could say they were doing their business on the trees at that point as well. Of course, great game coming through from Scarlowy, as again had a really rough laning phase, but I think was able to bounce back and find so much value. Granted, those two performances were great. If I were to give my MVP of that game, Freedom Potatoes takes the cake. Insane stuff on the Zillion, looking like mini tempos out there, just dropping double bombs onto everyone, everywhere on the map at every single time.
Yeah, I mean, that was quite a decisive showing. Like I was saying when we were coming into the game, in the trees, they've been doing a lot better towards the end of the season here. They've been hoping to stack some more wins so that they can, at least be above that 500 mark. But in the end, they did get taken. They got dog walked by Lifrith on the Nefiri. Which, speaking of, I will be sitting down and speaking with the dog themselves. I'll be sitting down with Lifrith very shortly for an interview, so don't go away, folks. Be right back with that interview.